This is a second video about citations on NoRedInk and in life. So this is on using citations when the source is already mentioned. So we talked last time about what the format looks like. So end quote, space, and then inside the parentheses, author's last name, page number, end parentheses, period. Even if the quote has an exclamation mark or a question mark in it, you still end with the period. Okay. Um, so now this one is on what you do if the evidence already has the author's last name in it. And so, again, if it's not there, it looks just as we discussed. But if the author's name is in the sentence, then you no longer need the last name in the parentheses. You just need the number. So my example here is according to author last name, then you have your quote, space, citation with just a number in it and with a period. So the only difference is you're taking out the last name. So here's an example. Lahiri reminds readers of Ashima's sense of disconnection in the hospital when Ashima reflects, "It is strange our child be born in a place most people enter either to suffer or to die." End quote, space, parentheses, number, and parentheses, period. So it looks the same as it does up here, except we're losing the last name because the last name is already mentioned. Okay. Um, the other thing that NoRedInk is going to test you on, and I couldn't take this out, otherwise I would, but what to do if the page number and the last name are mentioned. So if it says like on page 4, Lahiri explains the quote, then you don't need any citation because we already have the author's last name and we have the number. Um, so here's an example of this. On page 4, Lahiri reminds readers of Ashima's sense of disconnection in the hospital when she reflects, "It is strange that her child will be born in a place most people enter either to suffer or to die." End quote. That's it. Um, just be aware of that on NoRedInk, but in the real world, please don't do that. Never do that. This is not good practice. There's never a reason to put on page 4 in your quote. It just interrupts the flow of writing. It seems very elementary. So don't do that in the real world. Um, on NoRedInk, if you see the page number, then you know that you don't need a citation at the end, is the thing. Um, Even if the quote ends with an exclamation mark or a question mark, you can just leave that as is. You don't need to add in another period or anything. Okay. So those are the rules. Practice. So remember that when you click, oh, I didn't finish this one yet, so I can't show you yet. All right, hold on. Okay, so now I can show you. So when you click the bubble, remember that you can click into the lesson and see some lessons from NoRedInk specifically as kind of an easy thing to check. Let's do a few practices. So same as the last skill, they'll give you a quote, they'll give you the citation information, and then they'll give you the part of a student's essay. So here's what I'm talking about. On page 23, Schultz begins her argument by asking the reader, do you want to live in a world where blah, blah, blah. So we have our page number, we have our author. So that means that we don't need a citation. Even though there's a question mark there, it's okay if it ends with a question mark. Again, don't do this in the real world, but for NoRedInk, we don't need a citation. Cool. All right. Early in the book, Harris notes that the two main characters each eye the other with suspicion as they enter the dormitory. So here we have Harris, but we don't have the page number. We just have this phrase early in the book. So here, I'm not going to put in the word Harris. I'm just going to put in the page number and end my parentheses. All right, on page 153, for example, she describes attempts to improve the frightening and awkward first costume for Mr. Snuffleupagus. All right, so we have our page number. We have Martinez up here, even though it's not in the same sentence. We still have the citation. A good hint is that they're not even letting you put it at the end. and you know that it doesn't come here, it would always go at the end. So we don't need a citation. But also, obviously, we have our page number and our author name up here. All right, I'm going to click through and see if there's anything different that I want to go over with you. I think the only other thing is sometimes NoRedInk will give you sentences like this one. So Lytton establishes the climax of the book when Allison, the main character, discovers that her emergency whistle is, quote, missing from its usual place. So here we have our author, but we don't have our page number, so we have to add that in. And you'll have to know that you need to put in the space and format it correctly. So this is a little bit different than last time. So I'm going to delete this period, add my quote, put in a space, parentheses, 82, and parentheses, period. Okay. Um, so you just have to know that formatting specifically. And then that means that one like this is going to look a little bit different because we still have to add, oh, no, it's not. Okay, so we have our page number and we have our, sorry, we have our page number, we have our author. So that means we don't need a citation. I was going to say that if we added in a citation, that would look like, it would still look like this. I'm going to put in the page number. You'd have your exclamation mark, you'd end your quote, and then the citation would look the same, space, citation, period. So you'd have kind of the double punctuation because you still want to end the sentence with a period. But it's not applicable here because we have our page number and our author up there. All right, so those are the rules. As always, please reach out to me if you have questions. Don't get stuck. There's a way of figuring it out. Coming back and looking at this video, or looking at the rules here, looking at the NoRedInk rules, or reaching out to me. All right, thanks everyone.